All right, we're back with the GL 1500 carburetor kit. I just want to touch base on a few little knick-knack things that are going on. I have some questions about certain things, and so I figured I'd cover everything. People are installing them. They want to know if they can do this or that. So basically, you're going to get this set up. Let's cover this first. This bracket here is going to be like this when you get it. So it really goes like this. That's why it's loose. And by the way, tighten all the nuts when you have it all installed. Retighten all the nuts for the carburetor. I just have them on there, just a little snug. This one's loose, so just retighten them all. This will be like this. The frame will be here. There'll be 3 washers on this bolt. Okay, this is just how you have to install it. These 2 washers go against the bracket. 1 washer stays against the bolt, the Allen head. So it's like this. This is the frame. So you stick it in there like that, and then it goes like that. So this is between, as long as you have 2 washers against this, you're fine. And 1 washer against the head of the bolt. And then you just tighten it. That goes through the frame nut. There's a little 6mm thing welded on the frame. So you thread that through, and then this goes through there and connects to the, and is adjustable here because not all the frames are made exactly perfect from Honda. So that's that. People ask me about switches and timers. Really the switches they ask for, but it's probably better to put a timer on this heat block, the heater block in the morning when you fire your bike up. It's good to have it on for maybe 15, 20, half hour, and then shut it off so that you gain more power when it's off, because it's cold, dense air instead of heating up the manifold all day. I don't have one with me, but you can use a spring timer. It's sort of like this. It's a little smaller, but sometimes you can get them this size. It's all right. And it adjusts from like 0 to an hour, 60 minutes. So you just go 30 minutes and then just let go, and it will automatically shut off while you're on the road. You don't have to think about shutting it off. The best way to do it is here. This is your pocket. Let's say your pocket on the left side of the Goldwing. And that's the front. You want to put this on the outer side of the pocket. Take the pocket out, drill a hole for the little stud, and put it through there, and then bolt it into the pocket. And this will be on the inside of the bike. You won't see it. It'll be in the fairing. It does fit. I mounted one on there already. So, and then you can just reach in there from the pocket, see, and just turn the dial in 30 minutes, and then you have a flap to cover it over, and they're done. That's as easy as that. You can run a switch, but then everybody forgets here and there, and the switch is on all day, and you heat up your extra manifold for unless it's a real cold day. You could leave it on, of course. Running ability, so it runs better. So that's that. They do make these smaller. They're hard to find, but the big ones will fit in there. If you just put the screws through there, and it'll be a snug fit when you stick it under the pocket, and then you can bolt the pocket back in the bike. And of course, the red wire. It'll be 2 wires. Just to touch base on this. So this is not negative, and this is not positive. Okay, this is all positive. Both of these are positive. It sounds weird, but the bike will come with the negative already on the carburetor for the heater block. So you only have a positive to deal with. So you'll be running with a fuse, and you'll have this. You'll connect this to either some source of power, 10 amps, 15 amps, that's fine. And you'll connect this to your other wire on your fuse. So it goes from positive, doesn't matter really which way you want it. Some of them have them powder or coated. This is like the red and this is the black. They might say to connect this to the power and this is your load. Whatever the way they do it, just follow that. If this is the power, then connect this to the battery, and then this is goes to your load. This goes to your heater. Little block, you just crimp that in there, and that's it. That's it. It's just a one-way line going all the way down there. And then when you turn that on, it connects it and it shuts it off. So the ground's already grounded on the carburetor. You don't have to worry about that. So that's that. The next thing we can get into is there'll be bags, part bags in the kit. Each bag is like A through F. A, B, C, D, E, F. So like A will be for cruise parts, the B will be throttle bracket, the C will be a manifold, the D is something else, the E is something else, and the F. So if you just follow what's on the instructions when it comes, A, B, C, D, E, it'll tell you which bag is what, and so you won't be confused on how to set that up. And so let's do this. Let's see here. So the mixer screws on this carburetor, they're kind of, gotta set it up a certain way. So if it doesn't run after you do this kind of setup, there might be something wrong with your motor. You might want to check the vacuum on it or the compression on the motor. So the mixer screws, here's one on one side, and the other one is over on this side. So one is right here, and one is right here. So initially they're turned out 3/4 of a turn. It's a pretty happy medium. Anywhere between half a turn and 1/4, 1 turn is good. You might find your bike having to be 1 1/4, but not too much more than that. I mean, it doesn't. It gets too rich. So unless you have a fat pipe on there or something like that, that's a whole different story. But I'm not going to get into racing jetting. That's not common with everybody. So, but that setup is 3/4 at the starting base. The choke. Let me turn this around. I think you can see it better. The choke adjustment is actually right here. Right in here. See, there's a screw right here. That adjusts how the choke, how open you get your throttle plates. When the choke, when you hit the throttle open in the morning, it'll lock your throttle open at a certain degrees. And this adjusts to that degree. So if your throttle plate is like this and you turn the screw more, it'll open it more, and then it'll open it more and more and more. So obviously that's an exaggeration, but you just want to turn it, put your release, take your hand and put a little bit of throttle in it, like half throttle, turn it in 1/4 and let go. You can actually see the adjustment right here. You can see it get bigger and bigger and bigger right by the throttle stop as you adjust that in. I think it's set for 1/4 of a turn or 3/8 of a turn in from when you get it from me. So you can, either way, you can adjust it up or down. So that is basically that. To adjust the throttle timer on this, when this starts to open and close, you rotate this back and forth. So these 3 screws right here, 1, 2, 3. Let me get another pointer. So 1, 2, 3, you loosen those a little bit, and then you turn this back and forth, and this tells it to open sooner or it stays closed longer, like in colder weather. That can adjust that. So the other thing we're going to do is, let me see if I can get to a picture of it. It's kind of hard to get an adjustment. Anyway, the spring on the throttle will be like this, or it'll just be hanging like this. It actually goes down to one of the clamps on the intake manifolds. So here's your manifold, right? And you got a clamp here where you screw it. Pull this down and hook it into one of the bolts. Whichever, I think it's the top one is easier. So that's where that goes. I don't want to confuse anybody. It's up here like this. It doesn't stay like that. So it's down here. You hook it down here when you're hooking it all up. So that's that. There'll be a pipe on here with a hose. This is just a breather. This is on kind of loose. This little zip tie, you can tighten it up after so you can take it off and on, adjust it or whatever you need to do. I just leave it on there loose. That goes along the frame, down, just tucks it down, not very far. It's just a float bowl breather. So another issue that people were talking about is the overflow customization that is not done right now, because I don't think it's important if you have a certain kind of fuel pump that actually runs when the key is turned on, and it runs all the time. That's the whole point of having an overflow. But I think the Honda setup, when you turn on the pump, it only pumps a little bit and stops. So you don't, the rule of thumb is when you turn your key on, just start your bike. If you turn your key on and talk to your buddies for a while and your key's on and all that, and you have another pump that pumps constantly as your bike's running, then you might have an issue with the fuel bowl getting, if it does leak, it'll overflow into your engine while you're talking to your buddies, and then when you hit the button, you'll have hydro lock, and you might bend a rod, and you're going to break your cases with the starter. It's a whole mess with the Goldwing. The starter gears in there, there's a little aluminum boss, not very strong, and it snaps off, and you have to replace the cases. It's a big mess. So easiest way to take away from that problem is just to start your bike when your key is on. Don't walk into your house and then come back out and start it. So that would take care of that. But you can do it if you want. I've already went through, there's a video on it, how to drill it out and put an overflow tube in there. So if you're worried about it, I think it's right here on this side. And it incorporates one of those holes. I think it's this one here. You just drill it out to an 1/8 pipe, a 16th pipe, sorry, not an 1/8. They make a 16th pipe thread, it's smaller, and then you just run a 90-degree barb and you put a hose on it down to your engine. So if it does ever overflow, it won't go into your motor. So that's another customization thing there. So let's see, other than that, I think those were the main concerns. Of course, the floats, if you ever have to do the jetting, these 1, 2, 6 bolts here are screws you just take off. You don't got to remove the carburetor. It just pulls right off. There's a little circlip right here. You want to put a magnetizer on it when you take it off because it's easy to lose. And then this whole top pops off, and you can get to all the jets and everything, the main jets and the correction jets and all that. So. And then there's one more little item here I wanted to talk about, the throttle cable. So it's a pole throttle cable. Push here. So it comes with a sleeve. If I have one here real quick, let me see if I can let me go get one here. So it'll come with a sleeve like this because this is too big. This is made for like a who knows what automotive cable or something, and this is just too sloppy in there. So what you want to do is you take this sleeve, probably easier to do it this way. You can put it so the sleeve ends up going out this way. Put this sleeve in here like this. I can get it with one hand. And then put your cable. See, See how that's, put your cable in here like this, and then do it like now. So it'll be locked in. But of course the sleeve can be pushed out the other end on this side. So what you want to do is pretty simple. Just get a pair of pliers. Pair of pliers, pretty much not such giant ones that you'll cremate it. But you see how there's a little bit of an indentation right here. You got a little bit sticking out. So you make sure this is all the way up. And you take it and you just squeeze the end a teeny bit. Just so that barb doesn't push out the other side. See how it's already starting? I can already start to do it. Yeah, see? So you don't want that. So you want to pinch the end to keep that from coming out. You can always take it off. You don't pinch it all the way, you just pinch it a teeny bit to keep it from falling out. And that's it. Then you have a nice tight barrel in there that doesn't flex around or fall out. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. Otherwise, all the other videos on how to install everything there's a few more videos that you can watch. So other than that, that's about all. We covered all this. Of course, there isn't another adjustment right here, I noticed. You could mess with it. It's a vacuum screw for the choke. It has to do when you start it initially to give it some air. I guess it opens up sooner or later. It takes longer if you go in or out. But the paperwork that comes with in a bag like this has Weber carb on it. It explains how to adjust everything and how to do your mixture. You want to be careful not to adjust the mixture, the idle screw, right? This idle screw right here is to control the idle. You can't go more than 3/4 of a turn. So in other words, if you go till it just touches the throttle, see? Let me go down here, let me see. So if you just go till it touches the throttle, and then you turn it in a 1/2 turn or a 3/4, that's it. You can't go any more. If your bike does not run, there's something wrong with your bike. So look at you have vacuum leaks or whatever the problem is, but it's not this. So the max you can do is 3/4. Everything is due with the mixture screws. You can turn those in or out if you have the max on this. Because how this carb works is with the mixture screws, it pulls in mixture through the little ports. If you have this open too much, if you have this cranked open, it won't suck the mixture from the mixture screws and you'll have an overrich condition. So you can't have the idle screw any more than 3/4 of a turn in, open. So I find myself, I probably mine is 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. That's it that I have it turned in. So basically that's, and it runs fine. I have these at like 3/4 or 5/8 open. That's assuming that your bike is in good condition and everything else. So that's why I'm going through this and talking about it. So the paperwork does say, explain how to do the adjustments, and it talks about not adjusting this any more than 3/4 or a 1/2 or 3/4 turn. So just go through that and understand how that works. A little touch base on this real quick. Like I said, 2.5 is probably the max. You might not even need it if you have the Honda stock pump, because the Honda stock pump, they already pressurized it to only do 2.5 or 2, so you won't have to. But I just do this because some people have aftermarket pumps and they could go up to 4 or 5 psi. So if you could just, so 2.5 is the max on this carb. I find 2 is pretty good. Just 1.5 or 2, whatever you can get away with is the best. That way it won't over pressurize the seat. Getting to the jets real quick. Let's move this. You'll have a bag in there. This is the original. I write in there, it's in carb. So these are the jets that I put in the carb for just a standard all around the country kind of thing. If you're really high or really low, you'll have to rejet it. But these are the jets that come out of the carburetor when I get a carburetor. So these are the 45, for instance. That's a 45, so it's pretty self-explanatory. The ones that are in the carb are out of this bag, and they're 50s. Same with the main jets. These are the stock main jets, 145, 170, and then what's in there is a 155. So same story there. The last thing I want to talk about is I am now going to sell my kits directly from me. So to save people some money, a lot of people can't afford it, so I'm going to run it cheaper. You can go through me. Just go to onefastmotor@msn.com and get in touch with me. That's ONE fastmotor@msn.com. It's all spelled out. And get in touch with me, and we'll go with what's involved and all the payments and all that. So that's what I wanted to update with you. And I might just get rid of it off eBay, because they have a lot of fees. So I don't know if I'm going to keep using them, but I just wanted to mention that I am going to start selling it direct through me. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.